Hey guys, it's your boy Ray, and I want to keep on the run of making videos and sharing my life stories, um, just because it makes me feel good to express and to help others learn about the deviousness and devilishness of all of our blind spots. And some of the biggest blind spots in other people can cause harm to yourself, and give you tough lessons, and of course hurt you. So I once, not so long ago, had a good friend. We'd been close for many years. Um, but one pattern I've certainly learned in life is, and unfortunately it is a pattern, is I'm one of those people that has or had weak boundaries and always been nice and giving. And so when I came into money a few years ago through affiliation with really powerful supplements, actually, I was in that phase of my life where I was just giving to my friends, giving to my friends money and trusting them. And I've been burnt by many people with money over the years through my giving nature, expecting a return of that money or a promise to get that money back, which it doesn't happen. It's one indicator that someone's more narcissistic than you, that they'll take money from you and they'll say to give it back, but they never will. And then another thing I've heard a lot in this life is narcissistic people that I allowed in my life say that they'll give me the money back when they're rich, but it's all lies. But anyway, I used to be friends with a guy, and as I've grown in boundaries and been taught by people to see what is, I've learned just to not hope for that money back and to block them because they're actually quite dangerous people. Anyway, one of my friends I've had for a few years, I always noticed something odd about him, and I looked at him like a little brother. Um, and I ended up lending him £2,000 to buy me a car. I was in that phase where I wanted to learn to drive, so I gave him £2,000 to buy me a car, and this was 3 years ago, and he never did. He used that money um to buy raw meat, and he never felt guilty about it. He said he felt guilty about it, and spending it all on. I gave it to him in trust to buy me and him a car so that we could drive together. I could learn to drive, and I'd take him around. He never did. Um, which is a huge red flag, right? And it's definitely on me. I'm learning my lessons with giving people money. Um, but he was an interesting character. I think I have people in my life as sacred contracts to learn lessons from, um, to learn some harsh lessons. And one of the things he always did that weirded me out was with strangers, he would always put on a front. Um, he refused to be vulnerable with strangers. It's very hard to be vulnerable with strangers. But the first step to be vulnerable with strangers is not to take the piss out of them. And he always used to take the piss out of strangers. What he did is he put on an accent and mimic their accent, thinking he's smart. And what I picked up when I was around him is it jarred me because you're treating the stranger like you know more than them, then you're better than them by taking the piss out of them. And I always figured that, and I watched, sometimes the strangers would pick up that he was faking an accent and taking a mick out of him. And I would tell him afterwards. But because it's a blind spot, and because he's so much in spiritual ego and pride and separation, he looks at all people as dummies, like in a very strong way, by not being vulnerable and using your own voice. He would take the piss. And it got to the end, it got to like a month ago after not seeing him for a while and hoping he'd change, where it just carried on. And I'd have to see him taking a piss out of strangers, whether he's waiting in a queue, taking a piss out of them with their accent, thinking he's better than them, or even buying stuff from them. And one gentleman at an Indian takeaway, one of those fast food takeaways, he did that too again, put on an Indian accent, take the piss out of them. But what I noticed was at the end, the guy was letting him know verbally and unconsciously that I know what you're doing. You're taking a piss out of me. And I told my friend this, and he couldn't handle it, like because he's just scared to be vulnerable, and because spiritual ego can get so nasty that you think you're better than other people and you can just play games with them instead of understanding that strangers are just people and everyone's your trigger here and you can learn from them. Be humble, nice, be a bit soft. He wouldn't do that, and he did this all the time. It triggered a part of me, but also deeply, it's more than just triggerings. It's me seeing that his taking the piss and him thinking he's so prideful and superior, he actually thought he wasn't better than them in his head, and he was just they're just like pawns and useless to him, and he'll just use them. And it was particularly jarring to see this over and over again. And towards the end, it wasn't even just this incident that made me put a boundary and never want to speak to him again because he just doesn't want to grow up. It was more than that, controlling me. I really saw towards the end of the last day I saw him, when I decided that's it, we're done. Um, Trying to control me, and deep I'm better than you that can only come from heavy narcissism, controlling me and putting me in a position where he's the businessman and I'm the little pawn in his business, and he'll use me because he's superior in business skills. Yeah, he was superior in manipulating people, but that's not my calling. Um, I noticed patterns. It was really weird to see, guys. If you ever saw someone that can't be vulnerable with strangers, putting on an accent, taking a piss out of them because you're so much in pride, and then saying, "Oh, but they don't know my original accent. They don't know I'm taking a piss." But I saw it, they did know. Humans are humans. They can feel when someone's taking a piss out of them. It's a very dangerous route, the spiritual ego. I've got it too, and I'm trying to undo it. And I'm trying to undo it with my friends that are genuine. And when they don't understand that they need to stop these behaviors because they think it's who they are, they end up separating themselves in their mind from normal people, quote unquote normal people. And that causes a really strong devilish mindset and a really strong separation and a really strong delusional pride that we all inhabit in our spiritual communities. I'm aware of mine and I'm trying to undo it, but but I'm forced to confront it when my friends have this devilish spiritual ego narcissism more than me, and it really shocks me. So I've been standing up for myself. Very grateful for the people that have taught me to spot all these things. I always had it in me and I knew something was wrong, but there comes a time in your life where you have to grow up and get rid of even your spiritual friends that might speak the same language as you to a degree, but they're strong in separation. And that is the journey. Spotting patterns, spotting when you're just giving money and your friends have no intention of paying you back, but so they do. It doesn't matter what people say, it's their actions that count. And I've got a long way to go on my journey to remove mine. But if I have people that don't respect, aren't seeing properly, and aren't trying to dissolve their own spiritual ego, they'll never be a friend of mine, never be close. So boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. I'd rather be alone than hanging out with the wrong people. I don't know if you guys can relate to this story and the spiritual ego, the strong separation. I'm better than you, and presented in such ways that you can't interact with a stranger with your normal voice and not take the piss. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's nuts. All right. Let me know your thoughts on this piece. I'm genuinely interested. There's a lot to learn here and to unpack into dealing with our own narcissism, but we are confronted with our own narcissism when people are more narcissistic than us, and it really blows our mind. Always remember to stay tuned to your own too.